Drop a comment or a heart if you can relate to this story. So when I was 18, I received my first guitar, started looking at chord diagrams, and I started seeing things like this. Look, I have really small hands. I am petite. This was not an option for me at first, or so I thought. So I avoided them as much as I could for as long as I could until I reached a wall and just realized I'm not going to be able to play what I really want to play unless I really learn these bar chords. After about a year, I finally got my first bar chord to sound halfway decent. And since then, I've become a worship leader, and I started to teach guitar in 2008. I could have made this so much easier on myself if I would have done A, B, C. And I'm gonna pass these things on to you. These are things that I teach my students if they are struggling with bar chords, to make them less scary, and also to help empower you that if you have small hands, you too can do it. Bar chord tip number 1 is that bar chords aren't really barred all the way.
What do you mean?
Sometimes we feel like we squeeze down and we hold for dear life and we just hope for the best, and it sounds like this. Yeah, that's the way my first bar chord sounded. It was pretty bad. But I realized that it has to do with certain areas of your finger that are going to come in contact with the strings, and you can focus on the pressure on certain parts that will really make things easier. So first, let's build our bar chords one finger at a time. I'm going to be using the B minor, for example. I'm going to take finger number 1, place that on the 2nd fret of the A string. I'm just going to lightly touch the string as I strum it. My index finger is laying a little bit flatter, so the very tip of my index finger is lightly touching that E string so it doesn't ring out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be just lightly pushing down on the string until I get a clear sound. So it's right behind the fret, not in the middle, right behind it. And once I have a clear sound, I need to send a signal to my brain saying, hey, that's all as hard as you need to push. Now we're going to take our ring finger, and that is going to be placed on the 4th fret of the D string. Again, do that same experiment where you lightly touch the string and then gently apply the pressure. Note how much pressure you're actually applying to the string. Now we're going to take our pinky. Now once I get a clear sound with that, I'm going to add my middle finger. Even if you just applied those 4 fingers to those 4 strings, you'd get a very decent B minor. Now where does this come from? This is the key. My finger is not laying flat. It's actually rolled a little onto its side, and then I'm actually using this portion right here. That is my knuckle, and it's rolled onto its side, and it is pulling back a little bit this way. So instead of fully this way, it's pulled back onto its side, and I'm applying pressure here and here. This may be a bit of a process, but using this process that'll save your hand from fatiguing rather than squeeze, squeeze, then try to build your bar chord. Number 2 I actually mentioned in number 1 is that rolling your finger onto its side is really going to help. The problem is that if you bar straight up and down, you'll notice that there's natural bends in your fingers because you have knuckles, right? But if you keep barring straight up and down, your finger naturally wants to bend, especially when your other fingers are engaged or when you're trying to reach to another destination, especially when you spread your fingers or you try to contract them, you have that natural bend. Well, if you have a natural bend, there's a natural gap. And with a natural gap, then you have a string that's either muted or it's ringing out where you don't want it to ring out. Now, for a lot of you, it's not the bar chord or just actually playing one is fine. It's actually playing it within the context of a song. So let's say I have a B minor to a D. What I would say is not to be afraid of open space and leave the previous chord before the bar chord a little early, keep the strumming hand going, and then right on count 1, that's when you squeeze. I'm going to slow it down and you're going to hear the wachika in between. You're like waka chika. Very technical term. But you're going to hear the open space that I left the chord a little bit early, kept the strumming hand going, but then right on count 1, boom, that's when I would squeeze. But when you speed it up, you really don't notice it. But now that you're exposed to this, I mean, you're going to hear it everywhere. Just listen to rhythm guitar. Every rhythm instrument does this. This last one, actually, I learned from the ukulele or like ukulele players, and that is the counterweight, the push-pull motion. So I'm going to be using the muscles in my arms, okay? So I'm going to use my bicep, and I'm going to be using something called the counterweight to my advantage so that I'm not squeezing as hard. So for example, if I have an F bar chord and I just feel like, oh my gosh, you may need a little extra help with that. What do? Place your fingers in the chord, okay, like this, lightly touch. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your elbow, where your strumming hand is, and you're going to pull it toward your body. See that elbow is pulling the instrument toward my body? Do you see how my neck wants to swing forward? Then you're going to stabilize that neck. All right, so your neck wants to swing forward. You're gonna be like, oh, no, 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 I got you. And you're going to feel the strings almost press into your fingers almost, right? So we have push, pull motion, counterweight, bring it back. And you're gonna notice that when you apply the smaller muscles of your fingers, that you're not gonna have to squeeze as hard. Now you're gonna be using the larger muscles rather than just relying solely on your poor little hand. Those are some bar chord tricks that I have learned over the years that have really been game changers for me. If you're like me and it takes you a year to get a decent sounding bar chord, just remember that work is going to pay off for the rest of your bar chord journey. If you can get one, you can get them all. Now, if you're a beginner to the guitar and you have absolutely no idea where to start, I made a guitar course especially for you, trying to make it fun, fast, and stress-free to be able to learn the guitar. And there is a clear next step with different levels. I'm going to leave that over here, and I hope to see you soon. Okay, remember, you are loved. Bye.